working third shift at Kershaw County Sheriff Department. I mean, through the week it was all right, and Friday night you had the beer joint fights and one thing and another, and Saturday night same thing. But Sunday night was boring now. I mean, people were going home sobering up and stopped fighting, and you didn't get many calls. And so Sunday night, you working third shift at a small county sheriff department, it could be a long night. And so on this particular Sunday night, I'm riding around, nothing to do, checking stores, and I ride down to where B.C. Moore's department store is, and just looking around, wasn't even in my jurisdiction really where I was supposed to be, just being nosy. And they'd had a fire and had thrown everything out of the store in the back in these big old green dumpsters. So I'm shining a light, looking around on these dumpsters and things, looking at all this good stuff that had been destroyed by this fire and water and the fire department and everything else. Anyway, I see this stack of mannequins over there, so I start looking at these mannequins. Well, I mean, they took the mannequins right out of the store and they just threw the whole things out, and I get out looking, and here's this woman mannequin. I mean, it's got a dress and wig and everything on it, you know. So I took the mannequin and picked it up, opened the back of my patrol car, and set the mannequin up in it, just like like I had a prisoner sitting back there. And I said, well, this will be fun. So I started riding around up and down the streets and pull up beside people getting off third shift, and they look back there and act like they're not looking at this prisoner in my back seat, but they was looking, and I kind of laughed. Well, anyway, this other deputy that was working with me that night, long, tall fella, he had a long neck like a crane, and we used to call him Ichabod. So Ichabod called me on the radio. He wanted to meet somewhere, so we did. He looks in the back of my car. He said, what's that back there in the back of your car? And I told him what I was doing, and he laughed. He said, well, come on, let me ride with you. He said, this will be fun. So anyway, we ride up and down the streets and stop sign people, and we were just having a good time. Thought we had a prisoner back there and everything. Anyway, all the way over in what we call the community called Lugoff, is a little convenience store down by the interstate. And this lady, I'm not gonna call her name for fear of retribution, but this lady that worked in that store got off at 2 a.m. in the morning, and she'd want to escort home by the police. And it wouldn't been so bad, but we didn't think this lady needed an escort home. This was a big old burly looking lady, had big old bushy hair, big bone woman, long face, a big old nose with, I'm serious, with a wart on it. I mean, this lady was us. Nobody wasn't going to bother her. But anyway, 2 o'clock in the morning, she'd call just like a clockwork and call the sheriff's department and say, I want to get an escort home. And they'd call out, you got a 1029 in Lugoff. We know exactly what it was. Well, this night she called, and Ichabod looked over at me. He said, let's ride over there and pull up close to the door so she'll see we got a prisoner back here. She'll hurry up and come on. And so we did, and pulled right up in front of the door. Neither one of us got out. I just kind of flashed my spotlight in there at her, and she grabbed her pocketbook and coat and everything, come on, got in the car, and we pulled out, and she's following us up the road. And so we really dogging this lady. Why she got to do this all the time? I mean, we got more important things to do, like go around and look in dumpsters and find mannequins and things. Anyway, we dogging her up the road, talking about how ugly she was and how nobody wasn't going to bother her and all this stuff, and she just wants attention. So we got to the river bridge, and it's 2-lane river bridge, and I tell Ichabod, I said, I'm getting tired of this. I said, watch this. I said, I'm going to get her good. So I pulled over kind of toward the center lane, and she stopped behind me with her car light shining on the back of my patrol car. And I get out and I pull my blackjack out. That's what they let us take in those days. You could just beat the tar out of somebody with one of those things. It had a spring in it and a piece of lead in the end of it. I mean, you could really do some damage with a blackjack. And so anyhow, I get out and I open the back door and I grab this mannequin and I start hitting it with my blackjack. And I know she's sitting back there behind me with those car lights shining right on it. Well, old Ichabod, he's in the front seat up there. He's dying laughing. He thinks, well, boy, this is something here. So finally, he's laughing so hard, he says, I got to get in on it too. So he gets out his side of the car, the passenger side, open the other back door, and he climbs in and he starts beating this mannequin with his blackjack. Well, we figured now we scared her to death by now. So all of a sudden, Ichabod starts pulling the mannequin toward him, and I'm falling on through the car. I said, well, what you doing? He said, come on. So we come on all the way through the car and out on the other side, on his side of the car, grabbed the mannequin by each arm and threw it off the river bridge into the water. Well, when we did, both of us looked back there at her car, and we was kind of grinning, We thought we'd done something really good. About that time, I mean, this lady, she flowboards her car, and she's coming toward the back of my car. I mean, she's hauling butt. And all of a sudden, she switches off there to the left and runs up on the sidewalk just to get around my car. And you can hear her car, wham-a-lam-a-lam, and see sparks flying out from under it and everything. Well, she gets on the other side, she flowboards. Ichabod looks at me. I mean, we looking at her tail lights going off in the distance. He said, do you think we ought to go catch her and tell her what we was doing? I said, man, are you crazy? I said, we couldn't catch that lady with a jet airplane.